This presentation is called Werewolves, From Medieval to Modern, which explores three different mediums including literature from the Middle Ages, the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and a contemporary sculptural artwork by David Altman. Werewolves are commonly understood as monsters that usually wreak havoc on human society by attacking and killing humans to satisfy their insatiable hunger for flesh. However, the werewolf harbors a complex identity, being that the metamorphosis from human to monster is only temporary, usually during a full moon or short time period. Most of the time, the condition of the werewolf is not by choice, since most are victims who were supernaturally affected, whether by curses, illnesses, or infectious bites. Even during their metamorphosis, the werewolves do not completely transform into a wolf, but instead looks like a hybrid mixture of animal and human appearances. Although the body enlarges and sprouts fur, while the head and mouth becomes longer with triangular ears and sharper fangs, the werewolf still walks on two legs and has no tail. The werewolf is almost always depicted as being able to regain their human nature after the full moon disappears or the curse is lifted. Yet, their monstrous internalized identity cannot be separated from their humanity, even overpowering it to an extent where the human is shunned as much as the monster. This presentation will explore the hybrid nature of the werewolf's identity and function of the monster as a tragic other. The monster is also a metaphor for deformity or difference, to reveal the problems of society's construction of normative identity and categories of difference. Here we will examine three pieces of literature from the medieval period centered on the werewolf figure that is predominantly more human than monster, even in changed form. First is a French lay written by Marie de France in the 12th century about a baron in Brittany called Biz Claret. This baron was loyal to his lord, faithful to his wife, and respected by his peers, but he was not perfect. Every week, for 3 days, the baron would disappear without a trace, leaving his wife worried and fearful for his whereabouts. She pleaded for him to tell her his business. He finally relented and told her that he goes deep into the woods where he transforms into a werewolf. He can only become human again when he puts on his clothes after the transformation period is over. His wife, terrified and disgusted at his condition, plots with another knight to steal his clothes. A year passes by when she remarries, while the baron roams the wild until he reunites with his king. The king, not knowing that this is his beloved baron, becomes very intrigued by the wolf's gentle behavior, so decides to take him back to court. At court, the wolf sees the knight and violently attacks him, contrary to his docile nature. Later he sees a treacherous wife and also bites off her nose. The king becomes concerned by this violent behavior, believing that the two must have wronged the wolf, and determines to find the truth. Finally the truth is revealed and the baron's clothes are returned to him, but he refuses to transform back until he can change in privacy. The next story is also a French romance poem circa 1200 called Guillaume de Pallerne, or William of Pallerne. The werewolf in this tale is William's cousin Alfonso, a Spanish prince who was cursed by his evil stepmother. Alfonso saves the infant Prince William from a murder conspiracy by his uncle. William then grows up in the court of the Roman emperor where he falls in love with the emperor's daughter Melior. His unknown birth prevents the couple from official marriage, so they run away disguised in white bear skins. On their journey, Alfonso aids them by procuring food, guiding their path, and protecting them from their pursuers. William reunites with his mother unknowingly and helps her defeat the Spanish king. During negotiations, Alfonso enters the court and bows to the king, his father. This intrigues everyone since the animal understands court formality. They feel sure the beast is of man's nature. The king tells William that he thinks Alfonso might be his bewitched son, and they call for the evil queen to disenchant him. Alfonso then becomes human once more. The last story is Gerald of Wales' account and topography of Ireland, written around 1187, about an unusual encounter with werewolves. The priest is traveling through Ireland provinces from Ulster to Meath and comes to rest at the border. A male wolf approaches and speaks to the priest in human language in hopes of having the priest give his dying partner sacrament. The werewolf proves to the priest that he isn't violent and can be trusted by using his rationality. The convinced priest blesses the she-wolf, who is revealed to actually be a fully formed human underneath the wolf's skin. Caroline Walker Bynum's analysis in Metamorphosis and Identity lends to the idea that werewolves are not entirely monstrous, since they do retain something essentially human, the mind, which then prevents their beastly form from consuming their personality and identity in entirety. The werewolves in these stories, contrary to popular belief, were generally not violent creatures, since throughout the change of man to wolf, something perdures. This something that never completely loses physical or behavioral traces is a mental process of thought and rationality. As Bynum states further, medieval discussions struggled to retain the identity of things, both their entityness and their spatial-temporal continuity, despite physical or spiritual transformation. Although they are capable of using their beastly form for violence, as the Baron did out of vengeance, or Alfonso during times of dire need, the rational mind gives them a choice to act civilized as they would in their original forms, like the werewolf in Gerald of Wales. However, all these werewolves knew that they were inherently different and potentially dangerous and unacceptable in the eyes of their community, so they are forced to hide away in the depths of the forest and live on the borders of society. Bynum calls these medieval monsters as sympathetic werewolves, or victims who are changed into wolves, usually by evil women. Evidence of this term is seen in the werewolves' decision to isolate themselves while continuing to harbor human qualities of loyalty, love, and kindness due to their human intelligence and memory, despite the typical fear and disgust usually associated to werewolves by the mainstream society. Moving on to a more modern interpretation of the werewolf is the character of Remus Lupin in the Harry Potter series, particularly the third installment, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where Lupin is first introduced. His name already predetermines his lycanthropy, since Remus refers to the myth of the twin brothers Remulus and Remus, who were suckled by a she-wolf. His family name, Lupin, is derived from the Latin word lupus, meaning wolf, and also associated with lunar cycles, linking to the time period of his werewolf transformation. In the magical world of Harry Potter, where a myriad of fantastical creatures from giants, dragons to unicorns exist, the werewolf is still shunned and feared by all the wizards and witches. Lupin's identity is further complicated by his hybridity, since he is a half-blood wizard, meaning his mother is muggle-born or normal, while his father is a wizard. This mix was generally not viewed favorably by the majority of pure-blood wizards.